Hey gang, this is a video that I just wanted to do for myself. I've got a Bogner Snorkler, I've got a Bogner Fish preamp with a 2150 VHT power amp. It's a classic combination, and I wanted to see how they compare. It's kind of hard to do that. They're quite different. You know, one is a head, one's a whole preamp, power amp situation, but they share sort of a bit of a common lineage. The Snorkler was one of the earliest mods that Reinhold was doing on Marshalls and that he brought over from Germany to Los Angeles. The Snorkler could be heard on early Jane's Addiction records, early Alice in Chains records. Pretty iconic amp there. Now, that mod ended up going into the Fish preamp, into the Shark channel, which is the bottom left channel. The Shark has 4 channels. It has brown sound, Strato, which is like the brown, but with a little more like edge and upper mid-range crack to it. The Country channel, which is an interesting name for the clean channel, and that has funk and jazz modes. And then the Shark channel, which has a volume control, a bass and a treble, no mid-range control, and not gain, a balls control. So that was always like so mysterious as a kid when I was looking at that going like, whoa, this is so amazing. So to get that Snorkler mod into your Fish, Reinhold took out the switch, which was like a dark or bright switch in there, added a mid-range control, changed whatever magic stuff he does in there, but then you lose the Shark channel and now you have the Snorkler channel in your Fish. I don't think it's a mod he has done for ages from what I read online. It's very time-consuming, difficult mod to do to get it in there. So most of the Fishes you'll see don't have that mod. Occasionally you'll see it on Jerry Cantrell's Fishes, on Danny Spitz from Anthrax. He had that as well. I think that Snorkler mod was also sometimes called the Anthrax mod in the Fish preamps. So there's some overlap there a little bit, you know. Both Bogners are voiced by Bogner, designed by Bogner. So they have a little of that Bogner thing. I did a song sort of in the spirit of like a Dave Navarro thing. Instead of doing a more Alice in Chains heavy thing, kind of went more my take on a Jane's Addiction thing. I never really got Jane's Addiction until recently, and now I'm like, oh, this is super cool. So I'm sort of feeling out that world a little bit. For instance, I know that Dave Navarro uses a Boss DD3 for his solos. He just kicks it on. It's always at the same setting, runs the delay into the distortion. So it sort of gets this sort of mushy sort of thing that all swirls together. But because this is big hairy guitars, my Boss DD3 is going to be a TZ Electronic 2290, which guys would often run into their amp too, like the Edge. We'll just run it straight into the input of an AC30. Robin Ford, John Petrucci would run it into the effects loop. So it does everything. It's an amazing sounding unit. So when you hear the solo, it gets delay mushy. That's what's happening, and this is the setting that I was using. So I did the whole song direct, and then I reamped it. I reamped it with the Snorkler and then reamped it with the Fish. So there's certain things that the Fish can do that the Snorkler cannot, like a totally clean sound. The Snorkler doesn't have a total clean sound. It has sort of crunch and then heavy in terms of its gain. The Fish is the entire run. So on sort of the low gain stuff, I go to the Shark channel on the Fish, which is great because it's sort of like a Fender, like a cranked Bassman, cranked Deluxe. You know, it's its own thing, but it's a little more scrappy. So you got clean, you got a cool scrappy lower gain thing, and then you have 2 voices of dirt. No pun intended. The Snorkler, you've got 2 voices. So for the clean sound on the Snorkler, I cheated and I rolled the gain all the way back to get as clean as I could get. And like I said, I'm just having fun, so there's some effects on stuff. The clean sounds, I put a cool reversey kind of effect because that's what I wanted to hear. So you'll hear the entire song. You can feel free to skip around. It's like 2 minutes long. The entire song with the Snorkler and the entire song with the Fish preamp. There are certain similarities. It's the same guitar. It's the same cabinet. I mic'd up the 412. So right off the bat, you have a lot of similarities there. The Snorkler does have a sound. And man, it just sits in a mix so easily. And then you've got the Fish, which also has a sound, and it's just, there's something really cool about it. I've always loved the Fish, and it's so beautiful. So I started something new too. I started a Patreon so I could do this. I can now give the files. If you're on my Patreon, I could give you the guitar files, audio files, and then in your DAW, you can A/B and listen and go, oh, I see what's happening here. If I tried to do that on YouTube, you get the YouTube compression, as well as it's going to be an 8-hour video of me going, well, here's this, and here's this, and here's this. So that's great. I could just give you files, and you could listen to a non-compressed audio file and check out whatever sections you want to hear and the differences. And I could give you those no effects and stuff. As well as the direct guitar. So you could reamp into whatever you want and hear the difference and maybe try and match your amp to this and see like what you think. Anyway, here you go. Here's the 2 tunes. I'm going to play a little bit through the amps at the end. I can't really A/B. I don't have a switcher to jump between them. So I'll just give you a little clean, dirty, and then heavy, and then I'll run through these channels real quick so you can hear where we're at. Love them both. It's not a better or worse. It is just awesome and awesome. Okay, thanks. So pros and cons, I think the Snorkler being a self-contained head is fantastic. You could get much fatter, more bottom end out of the Snorkler. It has that depth control, and it's just voiced, very kind of modern. It just has this sort of cool thing that's both makes me nostalgic, has like a connection to old tones, but then sounds really modern. The fish is a little leaner on the bottom, even running through the 2150 with the depth up high. It doesn't sound, it's not quite as low end beefy, but it's a little more fat mid-rangey, a little puffier. Snorkler has like a little more upper mid bite, and the fish is a little shifted lower, seemingly. Switching channels on the fish is the worst. It's 2 jacks on the back. It's an old school thing. There's no MIDI, and you have to, it's like plus, minus, with the switches. It's not hard to do. I have a ton of things that do it. It's just I have to take them out and plug them in. So I use individual switches, and it's just like, ugh, I just want to go and switch. So that's a little bit of a drag. And sometimes the rack thing, if you're going to try and take that out the fish to play a show, you got to commit to like the switching system, the rack, the power amp, and then something to power it, like a power strip. So you're already at like 8 rack high. And then if you're there, you might as well go 12 and throw in some effects units and stuff like that. So you get big quickly there. The Snorkler is, just grab and go. It's killer right out the box. There's a built-in noise gate. That's kind of nice. I didn't use it for this, but the effects loop on the Snorkler, if you don't have anything plugged into the effects loop, also functions as like an overall master. So you could get the volume down a little bit further, which is nice. Although I feel like Bogner amps want to be loud. Not soul-crushing loud, they just want to be up in volume. That's when they just really come alive. I hope you enjoyed this. It was fun making it. All right, gang. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.